entirely different internet. The FCC's new rule, to me, was a big disappointment. We expected better from this commission and this chairman, who promised that net neutrality would be a priority. My only hope here is that this is just the first step, and the FCC will go after every single company that violates the letter or spirit of this rule. I'm counting on the FCC to keep its promise to strengthen these provisions in years to come, and I will need your help in holding the FCC's feet to the fire on this so that we can make sure they do their job and protect the internet. The FCC is also considering the proposed merger between Comcast and NBC Universal this month. Comcast is the nation's largest cable provider and largest residential internet provider. NBC Universal is a content giant who owns 37 TV networks and countless movies. As you probably know, I hate this merger. I've been pushing hard for the FCC and the Department of Justice to block it because it would be a bad deal for consumers. This merger is going to push channels like the Discovery Network, Food Channel, and Bloomberg News into accepting less money than they're worth just to reach Comcast 23 million cable subscribers and its subscribers that get their information through the internet. And it may put smaller networks out of business. This will also mean less choice for consumers. More Comcast NBC programming, higher NBC Comcast will charge more for its program to other cable providers. And Comcast will take money out of this pocket, put it in this pocket. And this will mean likely much higher cable bills for you. And you know, about 40% of people who pay their cable bills go down to pay by cash or check. So this is a big deal. But it doesn't end there. Comcast also happens to be the nation's leading wireline broadband internet provider, and there's no better example of how Comcast plans to use its virtual monopoly to control what you watch on the internet than what we've seen with Netflix. It should be no surprise to you that cable companies are worried about the rapid rise of Netflix. It represents the first real competition they've seen in a long time. They aren't stupid, they want to shut it down. I'm hearing that Comcast is already planning to pull NBC Universal's programming from Netflix when it's next up for review. Never mind the small fact that the merger hasn't even been approved by the FCC yet, but when Comcast acts, other big guys will follow. Maybe studio executives from Time Warner and other companies are now saying the same thing. Comcast also recently announced that they're imposing a new fee on level 3 communications companies slated to become the primary internet backbone provider for Netflix online streaming movies and TV shows. Now, regardless of Comcast's motives for charging level 3, this is a clear warning sign of what we can all expect if this deal does go through. Shows and movies that you can find on the internet today will be much harder to find tomorrow. This merger is only the first domino in the cascade that is sure to come. Make no mistake, if this merger is approved, it will only be a matter of time before we see AT&T trying to buy ABC Disney or Verizon trying to buy CBS Viacom. And you know what these companies will say? They'll say, well, you let Comcast and NBC do it. Now it's our turn. And probably the FCC or the Department of Justice have to say that. Now is the time to decide whether we want 4 or 5 companies owning and delivering all of our information and entertainment. All these companies would have We are at a pivotal moment in our nation's history, and we need to stop the cascade of dominoes that will forever change how we access information. I fear that most Americans don't understand what the stakes are. I hope that you will help me get out the word and educate people about what this deal may mean for the cable bills and their program choice, and ultimately the information that they have access to. Unfortunately, this is likely only going to be the first battle in a larger war against media consolidation. I hope I can count on your support as we continue in this important fight together. I also hope I will be seeing you this summer as we have the distinct honor of hosting the Netroots Nation here in Minneapolis this summer. It's going to be exciting, energizing event, and we need to show a strong Minnesota presence that represents our state's unique civic engagement and progressive values. I know that's going to happen, and I know it's going to be fun as well. It'll be a big party for friends. Thank you again for being here today, and I'll be happy to answer questions on this or any other topic.
We have had a couple of questions submitted via Twitter. I think we have you for about 5 more minutes, so no. This is going to be super easy for you.
Okay.
When are you going to fix the Senate with all the filibustering?
Very soon. Well, we are going to attempt to do filibuster reform that I think is very modest and commonsensical and cannot be accused of our making a power grab. Basically, what we've seen is a conversion of the filibuster over the last number of years. And we had more filibusters than at the time I was in the Senate, which is a year and a half, it's not even 2 years, than we had in the 50s and 60s combined. But to give you some, I believe in the right of the minority if they want to debate an issue and keep debate open. I believe it. That's not what was going on. What was going on was we could literally get a cloture vote finally on some nomination that the president made to some position in the executive, and get 60-40 on the cloture vote. And you have to understand, this takes 2 days for a cloture motion to write, and it takes 30 hours post debate. There's no debate usually. Afterwards, during which you can't get anything else done procedurally unless you have a unanimous consent to do so. So we have a 60-40 vote on cloture, and then and this happened all the time. When the nominee would finally come up, they passed 98-0. So these were the same people who in 1995 said that there shouldn't be filibusters against judges that the minority was opposed to, are now saying we have the right to filibuster things that we're in favor of. That's just perversion. So what happened is that, there is a reason for the filibuster. But this group took it to its extreme and used the rules in such a way just to slow put it. So we're going to have some proposed changes, and we think we can do this at the beginning of the session with 51 votes. But they're very simple. There's just no filibuster, one filibuster per bill. No I want a provision where you need 41 votes to continue debate instead of requiring 60 votes to stop debate. That puts the burden on the folks that are filibustering. We also want the folks that are filibustering to actually get up and have to speak and continue debate. That's all it is. That's all we're really asking for. It's very basic. It's not a power grab. We're not changing the absolute balance. So yes, that's what we're going to do. We'll see how it works out. That's what we're going to do.
Okay, I've got.
We've only got time for one more, and so I think that I'm gonna make it, sort of the more general question about civility in Congress. And, what is it that we can do to have a robust debate that's needed, and help you push our progressive policies, but, you know, kind of keep that debate as civil as possible. So kind of give us some tips and tricks.
Well, I don't want to tell you how to do your job. You know, if you want to tell me how to do my job, your role. Almost got it. I'm not sure I like it. You know, the president said something about not using this tragedy to steal things. And so now there's been point scoring on accusing other people, other side of point scoring. I'm sure there'll be another dimension of point scoring on who's overusing point scoring to accuse other people of point scoring. And, you know, that's certainly not my job. You have a different job. You have, to some extent, the job of holding people's feet to the fire that I have people on talk radio people. And you know, they have a big presence on talk radio. There's no secret about that. And so there is a role in bunking that they say about this. But I think this thing is kind of done with. And I like to turn to things like corporate control of the media. I like to turn to things like their attempt to repeal healthcare, looking at what they're saying and what is really realistic. It's not realistic to, you know, in their pledge to America, they said, well, we're going to repeal Obamacare. But we also want to keep the things that everyone likes. John, I saw John immediately chuckle. Because this is like, don't discriminate against people with existing conditions. Allow kids to stay on to their 26. Let's just take, don't discriminate against people with existing conditions. Well, what does that mean? Well, in a way it means, why would you want to get health? Why would you get health insurance until you're sick? So the extension, logical extension of that is the only people with health insurance are people who are sick. So the cost of health insurance goes to a death cycle. That's why we have the mandate. The healthcare is a three-legged stool. It's healthcare reform. First is don't discriminate against people with existing conditions. They also want to remove the cap on lifetime care, which is great. They want everything that everyone wants. Okay, the first part of this is don't discriminate against people with existing conditions. Well, the second part of that has to be the mandate. And the mandate was a Republican idea. Grassley was for this in June, and changed, you know, the Gang of Six, the finance committee just dragged this out and complained about how long the process was. And then the third part about that, well, if everybody has to get health care, then we have to subsidize people who can't pay for it. So we subsidize up to 400% of poverty on a sliding scale. That's a three-legged two-legged stools don't stand. A one-legged stool just ridiculous. So talk about that.
It's like a polo stand.
Huh?
It's not even a stool, it's like a polo stand.
You're right. It's not a stool. Thank you. So, in other words, there's plenty to talk about. That's what I'm saying. So, I don't want to tell you how to do your job. Please take up some of these issues that I think